प्लेलिस्ट तो ये बायोकेमिस्ट्री की है, लेकिन ये जो टॉपिक आज हम करने लगे हैं ये हर ही सब्जेक्ट में फिट होता है। और टॉपिक का नाम है फ्री रेडिकल्स एंड एंटीऑक्सीडेंट्स। चैप्टर 34 है ये सत्यानारायणा बायोकेमिस्ट्री बुक का, और बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक है और इसको इन्होंने इस सेक्शन में रखा है, करंट टॉपिक्स के सेक्शन में। बेसिकली ये टॉपिक हर सब्जेक्ट में, चाहे आप मेडिसिन की बात करें, पैथोलॉजी की बात करें, फिजियोलॉजी की बात करें, इसकी अंडरस्टैंडिंग बहुत ज़रूरी है। ओके, तो फ्री रेडिकल्स स्पीक, आपको पता है सत्यानारायणा में हमेशा स्टार्ट में चैप्टर के जिस चीज़ का चैप्टर होता है उससे इंटरव्यू लिया जाता है। सो दिस इज व्हाट फ्री रेडिकल्स से अबाउट देमसेल्व्स। वी एग्जिस्ट एज इंडिपेंडेंट मॉलिक्यूलर स्पीशीज। So we exist as independent molecules generated by cellular metabolism, which means they are produced within the body, also by the environmental effects implicated in causation of several diseases. So बेचारे अपने बारे में खुद बता रहे हैं कि हम बहुत सारी बीमारियां करते हैं, and we are destroyed by antioxidants which are also produced within the body. So अब एक सवाल अक्सर लोग ये करते हैं कि यार ये अगर डेंजरस चीज़ें तो बनती क्यों भाई बनेगी ना। हम देखो, वी कैन नॉट सर्वाइव विदाउट मेटाबोलाइजिंग ऑक्सीजन। वी हैव टू मेटाबोलाइज ऑक्सीजन बिकॉज वी नीड एनर्जी, वी नीड एटीपी। और ऑक्सीजन की जो मेटाबोलिसिस का पूरा प्रोसेस, मेटाबॉलिज्म का मेटाबोलोसिस, ये मैंने वैसे नया वर्ड इजाद कर लिया आज। ऑक्सीजन की जो मेटाबॉलिज्म का प्रोसेस है उसमें ऑक्सीजन की बहुत सारी स्पीशीज़ बनती हैं, इंटरमीडिएट स्पीशीज़ बनती हैं। दे आर द फ्री रेडिकल्स, भी पढ़ेंगे उनके बारे में। एंड दे कॉज सम डैमेज। उनको हैंडल करने के लिए बॉडी प्रोड्यूस अ फ्यू केमिकल्स जो उन डेंजरस चीज़ों को हैंडल करती है। बट अगेन द पॉइंट इज कि this is something that we have to live with. Yes, they cause certain damage to the tissues, and with increasing age the damage then accumulates, और उससे और भी बहुत सारे disorders हो सकते हैं। But I mean that's one limitation that we have to live with, because ऑक्सीजन तो हमें यूटिलाइज करना ही है। अब या तो ये होता है कि हमें बिल्कुल ऑक्सीजन की मेटाबॉलिज्म करना हमें चाहिए ही नहीं होती ऑक्सीजन, तो फिर बॉडी इसको यूज ही ना करती, सारे रिएक्टिव ऑक्सीजन स्पीशीज बनते ही ना। बट आई मीन वी हैव टू लिव विद दिस। ओके, सो द सप्लाई ऑफ ऑक्सीजन इज एब्सोल्युटली एसेंशियल फॉर एग्जिस्टेंस ऑफ हायर ऑर्गेनिजम्स लाइक ह्यूमंस। एज द सेइंग गोज, टू मच ऑफ इवन द बेस्ट is bad. Now, oxygen seems very good to you, but too much of oxygen is also not good. Very high concentrations of oxygen are found to be toxic, and they can damage the tissues. The present-day concept of oxygen toxicity is due to the involvement of oxygen-free radical. यानी ऑक्सीजन से जो oxygen-free radical बनते हैं, they cause damage. या फिर reactive oxygen species, जिसके लिए हम ये abbreviation यूज करते हैं, बहुत ज़्यादा यूज होता है मेडिसिन में, ROS. In fact, the generation of reactive metabolites of oxygen is an integral part of our daily life. We daily produce, because every single minute we utilize oxygen, and utilization of oxygen is associated with production of reactive oxygen species. A free radical, अच्छा ये दो अलग अलग terminologies हैं by the way. रिएक्टिव ऑक्सीजन स्पीशीज इसको हम रॉस कहते हैं, और फिर फ्री रेडिकल ये फिर कोई और ही चीज़। अभी हम इनके डिफरेंसेस भी देखेंगे, आपको टेक्निकली दोनों के डिफरेंसेस भी पता होने चाहिए। A free radical is defined as a molecule or molecular species that contains one or more than one unpaired electron, and therefore they are capable of causing because they are restless type of thing. They have unpaired electron. They always want to be paired to something. They are very short half-life type of molecules, but still they are capable of independent existence. Ab free radicals ki types. Oxygen is required in many metabolic reactions in the body, particularly for the release of ATP. During these processes, molecular oxygen is completely reduced and converted to water. That's the end product from oxygen metabolism. However, if the reduction of oxygen is incomplete, what we get in middle is a lot of different things. So for example, this is a very important table or chart for you to remember. So if you begin with oxygen, which is molecular form of oxygen, undergoing its metabolic pathway, it produces a lot of things. For example, superoxide. For example, hydrogen peroxide. Now, if you look at hydrogen peroxide, this is also one of the reactive species, but it does not have unpaired electron. It's a pretty stable molecule, and इसमें unpaired electron नहीं, इसमें unpaired electron है. So, because it is indicated by the charge here, and there is no charge in here, which shows that there is no unpaired electron. OH is again an hydroxyl radical which has an unpaired electron, and the end product from oxygen is water molecule. अभी बीच में जो चीज़ें बन रही हैं ना, सुपर ऑक्साइड, पर ऑक्साइड, हाइड्रोक्सिल रेडिकल, दे आर ऑल रिएक्टिव ऑक्सीजन स्पीशीज। और इनके अलावा भी हैं वैसे। बिसाइड्स द अबव, ऊपर हमने क्या क्या बताया, वी शोड सुपर ऑक्साइड, per oxide, and hydroxyl radical. There are some other free radicals as well, such as singlet oxygen, such as hydroperoxy radical, such as lipid peroxide radical. So remember, there are others as well, but these are the most common ones you have to remember as far as your exams are concerned. The common characteristic feature of free radicals are listed as well. They are very reactive, which means if you have this free radical in your body, it will react with something. It will react with the cell membrane, it will react with some protein, it will react with some. So they're highly reactive. And because they are highly reactive, they have very short half-life, so they are destroyed very quickly. They can generate new free radicals and they can cause damage to the biomolecules and cells in the tissues. Because, मैंने आपको बताया ना, if we have, say for example, hydrogen peroxide, that is the cell, it can interact with the cell membrane and cause damage. Free radicals and reactive oxygen species are not synonymous. अब ये दो बहुत ज़्यादा लिटरेचर में भी और स्टूडेंट्स तो खैर बहुत ही इसको मिक्स करते हैं. दो अलग अलग टर्मिनोलॉजीज हैं. एक टर्मिनोलॉजी है रॉस, रिएक्टिव ऑक्सीजन स्पीशी. दूसरी टर्मिनोलॉजी है फ्री रेडिकल. Free radical and ROS are two different things. By definition, a free radical is something which contain one or more unpaired electron. अब अगर आप H2O2 को देखो तो ये रिएक्टिव ऑक्सीजन स्पीशी तो है, लेकिन ये फ्री रेडिकल नहीं है, बिकॉज इसमें अनपेयर्ड इलेक्ट्रॉन नहीं है. सो ये आपको बेसिक डेफिनेशन पता होनी चाहिए. ओके, अब कैसे बनते हैं ये? व्हाट आर द सोर्सेज फॉर जनरेशन ऑफ फ्री रेडिकल? मैंने आपको बताया बनता तो ये ऑक्सीजन से है, राइट? द मेजर सोर्स रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर जनरेशन ऑफ फ्री रेडिकल may be considered in the two categories. Number one, due to normal biological process such as cellular metabolism, you utilize oxygen and you produce free radical species. And the other one is because of the environmental effects, and we will have a look कि environmental effects basically क्या है. It is estimated that about 1 to 4% of the oxygen taken up by the body is converted to free radical, and that's a big amount. Luckily, we have antioxidants, and our antioxidants that we produce, they deal with this free radical which is produced by the oxygen metabolism. अब सिनेरियो ये है कि हम ऑक्सीजन के बगैर रह नहीं सकते. ऑक्सीजन रिएक्टिव ऑक्सीजन स्पीशी बनाए बगैर रह नहीं सकती, तो बॉडी ने एक सिस्टम ये निकाला कि भाई एंटीऑक्सीडेंट बनाओ ताकि ऑक्सीजन से जो भी रिएक्टिव ऑक्सीजन स्पीशीज बन रही है उनको स्कैवेंज करें, उनको ख़त्म करें. सो दैट्स हाउ वी हैंडल the reactive oxygen species. Now, these are two categories by which the reactive oxygen species are produced. Number one is the cellular metabolism, and the other one is by the environmental effects. Now, cellular metabolism में obviously जहाँ oxygen metabolize हो रही है. So, for example, the electron transport chain. For example, by the xanthine oxidase and ADPH oxidase. These are all the enzymes involved in metabolisms in the cells. Membrane lipids की peroxidation. इवन पर ऑक्सीसोम्स हमारे सेल्स के अंदर जो ऑर्गेनील्स हैं उनमें ये बनते हैं हाइड्रोजन पर ऑक्साइड, एंड दैट्स एक्चुअली वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट देयर बिकॉज वी नीड टू किल सर्टेन ऑर्गेनिजम्स. प्रोस्टाग्लैंडिन्स की सिंथेसिस जब बॉडी में हो रही होती है, देन रिएक्टिव ऑक्सीजन स्पीशीज आर प्रोड्यूस्ड. दे आर आल्सो प्रोड्यूस्ड फ्रॉम arginine during phagocytosis, because imagine if this is a macrophage and it takes up some bacterial product. These bacterial products have to be killed within this vacuole, and in order to kill them we need reactive oxygen species. So हमें ये चाहिए in order to run the machinery of the cell in many different ways. During the oxidation of heme and bile pigments, as a result of auto-oxidation of metallines that we have got. So all these are very important for examination purposes. Okay, environmental किस तरह से बनती हैं reactive oxygen species? They are produced, say for example, due to X-rays, damage of cell membrane or reaction of cell membrane due to excessive exposure, photolysis of oxygen by light. Alright, cigarette smoking can produce a lot of free radicals. Alcohol, इसीलिए कहते हैं cigarette is not good for your health because of so many other reasons, as well as because of production of reactive oxygen species, which are, they're not too much of reactive oxygen. Even I would say even little much of reactive oxygen species can cause considerable damage. So हम ऑक्सीजन से ऑलरेडी रिएक्टिव ऑक्सीजन स्पीशीज बना रहे हैं, इसको हम अवॉइड नहीं कर सकते. लेकिन यार स्मोकिंग को तो अवॉइड कर सकते हो, अल्कोहल कंजप्शन को तो अवॉइड कर सकते हो, एनवायरमेंटल ये चीज़ें तो अवॉइड कर सकते हैं ना यार. इवन अ लॉट ऑफ पैरासिटामोल यूजेज कैन ऑल्सो लीड टू रिएक्टिव ऑक्सीजन स्पीशी production. So that's overall a very important table for you. So lipid peroxidation, if we consider, free radical induced peroxidation of membrane lipids occurs in 3 stages, and these are called initiation stage, propagation, and termination. So if there is a cell and there are reactive oxygen species, they are going to react with the membrane lipid, and this happens usually in 3 phases. The first one is initiation phase, then we have propagation phase, and then the last one is the termination phase. Okay, in initiation phase, what happens? There is a removal of hydrogen atom from the fatty acids, polyunsaturated fatty acids, which are part of the cell membrane, and because of this hydrogen removal, this is what we get: a water molecule and a charged fatty molecule now. And then in the propagation phase, what happens? If there is oxygen available, which is the aerobic condition, the fatty acid radical, which was produced in the previous phase, takes up oxygen to produce peroxide radical, which is represented by this particular symbol. And then this later in turn can remove the hydrogen atom to produce lipid hydroperoxide, and the hydroperoxides are capable of further stimulating lipid peroxidation, and the reaction then continues. And then there is a termination phase where the lipid peroxidation proceeds as a chain reaction until the available polyunsaturated fatty acids are completely oxidized. So see, this is what can happen if there is a free radical or a reactive oxygen species. It starts up the process of oxidation of fats which are present in the cell membrane. Cells can be damaged in this way. How do we check if somebody is under the stress of reactive oxygen species? There is a marker which is called melondialdehyde, and that is routinely used as a marker of lipid peroxidation. We will see that most of the products of lipid peroxidation are unstable, such as alkanes, alkenes, and whatnot. But MDA has been studied quite a lot. This react with thiobarbituric acid and produces red color products, namely T-bars or thiobarbituric acid reactive substances, and this can be actually measured in the laboratory by calorimetry. So there is a way you can measure MDA, and if the MDA levels are very, very high, that simply means that there is reactive oxygen species overload. Okay, so that's an important one for you to understand. Now, generation of ROS by macrophages is something that we require for normal immune system to work. During the course of phagocytosis, again, if this is your macrophage, for example, it is eating up this bacteria, macrophage produce superoxide. ये हथियार है, ये एक special fighting mechanism है जो आपका macrophage use करता है. It produces superoxide by a reaction which is catalyzed by NADPH oxidase. NADPH oxidase converts, you see, oxygen into the superoxide free radical, and this superoxide free radical then gets converted into hydrogen peroxide, another reactive oxygen species, and then to hypochlorous acid. And all of them are very dangerous for bacteria. So see, oxygen to superoxide to hydrogen peroxide to hypochlorous acid, and this then they all combine together can destroy this bacteria. And different enzymes ये must है आपके लिए कि ऑक्सीजन से सुपरऑक्साइड कैसे बनता है by NADPH oxidase. Then superoxide पर superoxide dismutase काम करता है, produces hydrogen peroxide, जिस पर फिर myeloperoxidase काम करता है and produces hypochlorous acid. So these are all interconnected with each other, and we require this for bactericidal action. Okay, so that's very, very important. A large amount of oxygen is consumed by macrophages using all these enzymes, and in order to produce a reactive oxygen species, and this phenomena is known as respiratory burst. So macrophages use respiratory burst, therefore they utilize a lot of oxygen and produce a lot of dangerous reactive oxygen species, which are in this particular instance dangerous for the microorganisms. Okay, now medical applications of reactive oxygen species: radiation therapy. Cobalt-60 or gamma rays to destroy tumor involve reactive oxygen species. These radiation produce reactive oxygen species, and then the local destruction of the tumor cells happen. Thus, the biochemical basis of radiation therapy is localized oxidative stress. So we are utilizing production of oxidative species to damage the cancer cells. Okay, sterilization of food by irradiation, destroying the viral or bacterial contaminant, is also we are thankful to reactive oxygen species. Nuclear accidents, explosion results in ionization radiations, and they can cause DNA damage. So imagine if somebody is living in a city where there are nuclear reactions going on, there are radiations coming out, their DNAs will be damaged because these radiations will produce a lot of reactive oxygen species, which are more than what we can control by the antioxidants. Okay, so harmful effects of free radicals. Up till now, we know that free radicals are not something good. It's just like a gun. Now, if you either use the gun to kill somebody who is really a bad guy, or you use the gun to kill yourself. So these reactive oxygen species can be used to kill the bacteria, but they can also kill your own cells. So there are some harmful effects as well. Free radicals and biomolecules. Free radicals are highly reactive. ये बात अब तक आपको समझ में आ गई already. And they are therefore capable of damaging almost all types of biomolecules, including protein, lipid, carbohydrate. Free radicals beget free radicals, that is, generate free radicals from normal compounds. अगर protein की बात करें, free radicals cause oxidation of sulfidyl groups in the proteins, and they modify them. Sometimes their functions are changed. Reactive oxygen species may damage proteins by fragmentation, cross-linking, aggregation, destroying the proteins. अगर lipids की बात करें, lipid peroxidation अभी हमने देख लिया कि how the membrane lipids are destroyed. If we talk about carbohydrates, at physiological pH, oxidation of monosaccharides and oxaldehydes बन जाते हैं monosaccharides से. So again, they are interfering with the normal structures of proteins, lipids as well as carbohydrates, and nucleic acids are no exception. So imagine your cell, your nucleus, your DNA sitting there, and reactive oxygen species getting inside your nucleus and causing DNA damage, can cause mutations, right? And therefore there are so many disease associations with the free radicals. So for example, cardiovascular diseases, oxidized low density lipoproteins formed by the action of free radicals can actually promote atherosclerosis and obviously the cardiovascular disorders. They can also be associated with cancer because they are damaging DNA. Mutations can happen. A lot of inflammatory conditions, including rheumatoid arthritis, glomerulonephritis, ulcerative colitis, can all be associated with increased production of ROS, reactive oxygen species. Respiratory diseases, for example, ARDS, such as pulmonary edema, pulmonary inflammation, autoimmune disorders, diabetes, they have all been linked with reactive oxygen species increased levels. Okay, eyes में cataract, male infertility, aging. I mean, if you produce more reactive oxygen species, you age quickly, right? So many other diseases. So basically, अगर मैं आपसे कहूँ, in simple words, they have actually been associated with almost everything, isn't it? Now, so we know that we use oxygen, we know that we produce ROS. I also told that in order to handle ROS, we produce antioxidant stuff. So what are different antioxidants in the body? That is the next topic. So to mitigate the harmful effects of free radical, aerobic cells have developed some machinery, which is the antioxidant defense. A biological antioxidant may be defined as a substance which can significantly delay or actually inhibit oxidation of a substrate. यानी सेल होगा, reactive oxygen species होगी, लेकिन ये सेल membrane पर अटैक नहीं कर सकेगा. So no lipid peroxidation or delayed lipid peroxidation. ये काम कौन करेगा? Our hero, antioxidant. The production of free radical and their neutralization by antioxidant is a normal body process. It happens daily, okay? So antioxidants in relation to lipid peroxidation, preventive antioxidants, we have catalases. We have glutathione peroxidases. They both reduce or finish the effects caused by different reactive oxygen species. Then we have vitamin E, uric acid, superoxide dismutase. They're all good for us. They prevent, both of them, they prevent lipid peroxidation. Okay. Now, antioxidants according to their location. Plasma antioxidants. We have them in our plasma, and their examples include beta-carotene. You see, gajar khaएं, ascorbic acid, oranges, bilirubin, uric acid, ceruloplasmin, transferrin. They're all antioxidant. Cell membrane mein we have alpha-tocopherol, vitamin E, guys. Then we have intracellular. Cell ke andar we have glutathione, catalase, dismutase, superoxide. They are all enzymes, and enzymes will obviously be within the cell. So intracellular. So we have things in the blood, we have things in the membrane, and then we have things inside the cell which can actually counterfeit the effects of reactive oxygen species. Okay. Now, further classification of antioxidants according to their nature. Number one, enzymatic antioxidants. अभी मैंने जो enzymes के जिक्र किया, they were all including the superoxide dismutase, जिसको हम SOD भी कहते हैं, catalase, glutathione peroxidase, and reductase. And then there are non-enzymatic, such as their dietary stuff, ascorbic acid, tocopherol, vitamin E, carotenoids, and metabolic stuff, which are produced in the body. For example, glutathione, bilirubin, uric acid, albumin, ceruloplasmin. So there are different classification system for antioxidant. Antioxidant can be classified as per their location. For example, plasma में हैं या cell के अंदर हैं या cell membrane में हैं. They can also be classified as per their mechanism of action, if they are enzymes, if they are non-enzymes, or what. Okay, now the antioxidant enzymes are truly scavengers of free radicals. और थोड़ा सा कुछ enzymes की बात करते हैं. The first one is superoxide dismutase. What it does, it converts. अब देखो जितने भी enzymes हैं, what they will do, they will convert a reactive oxygen species into something which is not a reactive oxygen species. Therefore, they will, finish the effects whatever are caused by the reactive oxygen species. What are the reactive oxygen species? So, for example, the first one is superoxide. So, if you look here at this particular diagram, किधर गए भाई ये? So superoxide was the first thing being produced when oxygen is being metabolized, right? इस superoxide को finish करने के लिए the hero we have got is the superoxide dismutase. Okay, so it converts superoxide into hydrogen peroxide and oxygen. Now hydrogen peroxide is another problem. Hydrogen peroxide itself is a reactive oxygen species. So एक से जान छूटी और दूसरी बन गई. तो अब इसको खत्म करने के लिए कौन एक्टिवेट होता है? कैटलेज. कैटलेज क्या करता है? Hydrogen peroxide produced by the superoxide dismutase and then metabolized by the catalase. Then we have glutathione peroxidase. It detoxifies hydrogen peroxide into water. So ये आपने जो पूरा चार्ट है ना, ये याद रखना. देखें इसमें 3 स्टेजेस पर रिएक्टिव ऑक्सीजन स्पीशीज बन रही हैं. वी हैव गॉट सुपरऑक्साइड, वी हैव गॉट हाइड्रोजन पेरोक्साइड. इन सुपरऑक्साइड को खत्म करने के लिए सुपरऑक्साइड डिस्म्यूटेज, हाइड्रोजन पेरोक्साइड को खत्म करने के लिए कैटलेज. सो दे आर ऑल वर्किंग टू counter feed or counterfight the effects produced by the reactive oxygen species. Okay, and ultimate hero is the glutathione peroxidase, which then finally finishes up the effects of hydrogen peroxide. The reduced glutathione can be regenerated by glutathione reductase so that we continuously have this zabardast thing ताकि हम H2O के effect को ख़त्म करते रहें. In diet also we have a lot of important stuff, for example, which are actually antioxidants. So vitamin E, for example, तमाम वो फूड जिसमें vitamin E अच्छी अमाउंट में है, that is good for you because that will reduce the amount of reactive oxygen species and actually they will reduce your aging, so you will look young. इसीलिए जितनी भी स्किन की क्रीम्स वगैरह आती है ना, उसमें vitamin E होता है, vitamin A होता है. So vitamin C is also very good for your reducing in the levels of reactive oxygen species. So ascorbic acid, oranges, citrus fruits, they're all good. Carotenoids, गाजर वाजर खाएं, ठीक है. They are natural compounds with lipophilic properties. About 500 different types of carotenoids are available. सबकी डिटेल्स याद रखना ज़रूरी नहीं है. Selenium is very important because it not only effectively works individually, but it also enhances the effects of other antioxidants. So it is required for the function of an important antioxidant enzyme known as glutathione peroxidase. So more selenium, more glutathione peroxidase activity, and more destruction of hydrogen peroxide. Okay. Alpha lipoic acid is a vitamin-like compound, not itself vitamin, can be obtained from plant or animal sources. Caffeine contains flavonoids, which are antioxidant in nature. Coffee lovers, attention. Recent studies indicate that caffeine can directly act as an antioxidant. Besides the above, there are many others named here, which also have been shown to have some antioxidant properties. Then we have some metabolic antioxidants which your body produces yourself. Glutathione. Reduced glutathione plays a key role in biological antioxidant enzyme function system. So ये बात हमने already कर रखी है, right? This table tells you what are the important nutrients which are antioxidants and their dietary sources. So for example, vitamin E is very much available in unprocessed vegetable oils, whole grains, vegetables, legumes, leafy vegetables. Vitamin C is present in citrus fruits such as grapes, oranges, all these things, guava, beta carotenoids, carrots, lycopene, इनकी sources. Selenium कहाँ होता है? सी फूड्स में, मीट में, ऑर्गन मीट कहते हैं, जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल किडनी, लिवर, ये जो हार्ट जो लोग खाते हैं तो उसमें सेलेनियम इज देयर. सो दैट्स अ गुड वन टू सी कि किस विटामिन की सोर्स क्या है, किस एंटीऑक्सीडेंट की सोर्स क्या है. ओके, सो then these are also some metabolites that we produce within the body. Uric acid, for example, ये सब हमारी बॉडी में नॉर्मली है. ट्रांसफेरिन भी मौजूद है, एल्बुमिन भी मौजूद है, बिलिरुबिन, हेप्टाक्लोबिन, they are all antioxidants. Okay, remember अगर आपसे ये सवाल किया जाता है what are different antioxidants that we have, a long range we have. Then dietary supplementation of antioxidant free radicals damage biomolecules and are implicated in causation of many diseases such as atherosclerosis, autoimmune disorders. Therefore, many physicians actually prescribe antioxidants. Okay, that's what it is all about. And if somebody comes to me, I tell them from the very beginning, increase your dietary intake of antioxidants. I mean, don't push me to a point where I have to prescribe antioxidants. स्किन पे फाइन है, चेहरा बेहतर करने के लिए. देखें, wrinkles पड़ते हैं ना, wrinkles पड़ते हैं because of cellular damage होता है because of reactive oxygen species. So we apply vitamin E, vitamin A derivatives, vitamin C derivatives. So वो जब स्किन पे लगाते हैं, reactive oxygen species कम होता है और आपका स्किन बेहतर ग्लो करता हुआ नजर आता है. So topical application is okay, but it's good to have your antioxidants by your diet. That's the best thing. Okay, so with this I think we are done with this chapter and अब आपसे मुलाकात होगी next chapter में बहुत जल्द. Take care of yourself. My name is Professor Asif Qureshi and you are watching Dr. Asif Lectures.